All right, let's take a moment and talk about this. Okay, so a while back I made a video about games I wanted to review and never got around to reviewing. I actually mentioned the fact that this is one of those that have been on the agenda for a long time. Actually, some of the first pictures I ever posted on Instagram, my Instagram account, were of me making this out of paper mache. So I've been wanting to talk about the Rocketeer on the NES for a long time, for a couple years now. Gosh, 3 years, 4 years, something crazy like that. And I just never, stars wouldn't align for it. And so I decided to take the opportunity now and do it. And hopefully it'll go halfway decent. And you'll find it halfway enjoyable. I'm doing this completely off the cuff, completely unscripted. I didn't do a whole lot of research before I started this. I did some before, and I can't remember any of the stuff from before. Anyway, so, movie games get a bum rap. In some cases, rightfully. Because there's a lot of movie games that are just garbage. And especially this time period, right? You got a lot of NES titles that were based on movies that people just loathe. Some that have caught bad raps and that I've gone back and played now, and I kind of like them. Back to the Future is one of those that on the NES that got one of the worst raps. But when you go back and play it and kind of give it a little more of a chance, it's actually really pretty not bad at all. It's hard, but that doesn't make it a bad game. Friday the 13th, another one. It's another one that catches a bad rap. Also really hard, but if you go back and play it, give it a chance. And I don't know, you kind of got to be a little forgiving whenever you're talking about a movie to a game, because that doesn't always work. Movies don't always translate well into games anyway. I mean, how do you do that? How do you deal with, I don't know. It's just one of those things that, like, the mediums are so different that it's hard to, I imagine it's hard to translate. Some in more recent years it's been a little easier, but you've still got to be forgiving, because they've got to add some way to make it an actual game and not just a movie in and of itself. So anyway, the Rocketeer was released on the NES. I can't remember when, but the reason I thought about it was the fact that when I'm recording this is actually just a few days after Christmas. And it got me thinking about the Christmas that my brother and I got. We got this, and we got Battletoads at the same time. And we played the crap out of this because we love the movie. And we played the crap out of Battletoads because we thought they were cool. And anyway, so this was released. I think Bandai had something to do with it. I can't remember exactly. I'm sure I'll have something posted somewhere along here that will have a cover or gameplay footage or something. But anyway, there are other versions of the Rocketeer. There are other games based on the Rocketeer, and they're quite different. I know, like, the Super Nintendo version has this race at the beginning that's really hard to do because there's a big screen and a small screen, and the small screen is actually the one you should be watching, but it's so small that you'll have a tendency, your mind naturally wants to gravitate toward the bigger screen, and it's just not, it's not ideal at all. But anyway, the Nintendo version is like a side-scrolling platformer kind of adventure game, and it is much better. Granted, once again, you got to be forgiving. I mean, the game starts off in this. It's supposed to be the hangar, the airplane hangar from the beginning of the movie, and it's huge. I mean, like 7 stories or something crazy like that. If you were really thinking about it, and the scaling of the character versus the backdrop and stuff like that, it's absurd, you know. But it's a game, right? So I mean, the things that it looks good. I mean, it you know exactly who you are. You know you're Cliff Secor. You know who that is. You can tell. I mean, the graphics are for a Nintendo game are pretty good. And you got to think. I mean, this is probably one of the later releases, so they're really pushing out horsepower. They're really pushing the limits of the console. So you're starting to see some pretty solid looking titles. One thing I like about this game is that you start off, you have immediate access to weapons. You'll get so much ammo throughout this game. Ammo is super plentiful. You'll kill enough henchmen, Nazi goons, and bullets will be dropping left and right. You'll punch into lockers and you'll find hearts, which is health, and ammunition galore. So you're not going to run short on ammo, I don't think. There are some parts that are going to rely more heavily on ammo than others, but I found myself, honestly, at least on the first level, you could pretty much get through the whole first level just punching. And that might not be a bad idea, because when you get to the first boss, which is when you finally start getting access to the jetpack, you'll need to use the rocket launcher, because that's something he had in the movie. Once again, it's a game. Let it be a game. So you'll finish the first level, and then you'll get cutscenes in between each chapter, and the chapters are the way they separate levels. You'll get to see basically every location from the movie. I mean, you'll be in the city. You'll be at the diner at some point. You go to the fancy restaurant, you know, and you end up on top of the Zeppelin at the very end. All in all, for what it is, for it being a movie game, wherein that normally lacks, this is really not a bad game at all. Could it be better? Sure. But I think if you made it much, I don't know, it's one of those things that I feel like something's going to end up having to sacrifice if you try to push this to be more than it already is, you know? I could be completely wrong about that, but I just feel like it is what it is, and you just kind of got to let it be what it is. Anyway, for my money, this was a great game. I loved playing this game as a kid. And it's one of those, there are a handful of games, and this happens to be one of them that I like to just, you know, pop in and play mindlessly and not have to worry about it, not think about it, just play to play and get as far as I can get and whatever else, you know, or if I want to, because there is a password system, if you want to, you can go online and look up passwords, and you could play at the very end of the game if you want to. Granted, some of the last levels are ridiculously balls to the wall hard, but it's still fun. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the fun factor for me is the most important part. So anyway, I wholeheartedly recommend the Rocketeer for the NES, and I think that you would do yourself a service by playing it. And I don't know, I loved it, and I played it a lot as a kid. I play it a lot now still, and I think it's fabulous. So, you know, that's really all I have to say about it. That's all I ever really had to say about it. I mean, I could have done a drug out review of this, but truthfully, all I want to say is it looks good. It sounds pretty good, and it's fun. And give it a chance, you know. I think it's worth playing, and so you should play it if you get a shot. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed this look at Rocketeer. It's honestly one of my favorite games as a kid. And if you get a chance, please make sure you check out some of my social media links below. Of course, check out the Redbubble store, and I'd really appreciate that. That helps me out a lot. And if you get a chance, watch another video or two. And please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.